ask usually. If someone's inquisitive and they really want to know, then we're happy to sit down and talk about it, or even during class, especially if it's a lift class, you've got big breaks in between your sets and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I guess I'm talking about if you get us to paint, for example. Sometimes it helps me if you remind me it's good for this, isn't it? You don't have to go into depth, you don't have to have things about it, but just a quick, 2 points of why you should do this exercise. I don't know if that's something you can, I don't know.
Do more of?
If anyone else wants that, I should find that quite motivating.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that when I'm not training with you guys, because I think that's something you're always encouraging us. I know all four of you encourage us to just always be moving, always do something, when I'm working.
To have that knowledge in the back of your head.
And it helps me to remember, well, what should I be doing when I've just been working for 2 hours and I need to get up and move, what should I be doing?
Yeah.
And I remember what you guys mean.
I think I generally like to focus on 1 or 2 exercises in a program and talk about the translation that has to something outside of the gym. I think it's really important to have that connection, and also stuff inside the gym, especially the stuff that people don't like doing, because they're the exercises that you ask yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? You can be sitting, hanging off the bar, for instance, and you're like, why am I doing this? I'm just hurting everywhere. And it's like, okay, if there's a reason behind it, and you know that it's going to help you with what you feel maybe you're passionate about your deadlift, so we use the same exercise. Well, hanging from bars will increase the grip strength, get a bit more weight on the bar. Awesome, okay, I'm gonna grin and bear it,
The other thing.
Even just us parents,
Carrying kids.
We take kids to the park, and you're surrounded by bars, and just to remember that even just hanging from a bar for 2 minutes while your kid does nuts. Is really good for us. So I know I keep saying it, just for me, I am busy, I am stressed, and the more, even if you say it every single week to me, it wouldn't bother me. You guys know, you tell me the truth.
It would bother us.
2 seconds later.
Fuck.
We do lift class, and you tell me what we're doing, and then you look at me, and my eyes are glazed.
Yeah. Totally. But you also got to remember, like from our perspective, it's like we also treat you guys like we treat you like a student, right? So we teach you things, and we expect you to learn things, and that's why we use proper strength terminology and protraction and external rotation and tempos and eccentric and all these terms that are like what athletes use and what sports scientists use. It's so that we can communicate effectively to you guys. So we put a bit of a pressure on you guys to absorb that information. And even though some days when you've probably had no sleep and the kids have been fucking screaming all morning, the last thing you want to do is like absorb that shit. But it's still like, we're like tough shit. You kind of have to, right? That said, we're always, if the question's there and if we ever brush over something, pull us up as well, because when it comes to the 1 hour class, there's so much work for us to get through, for us to do all of the things we want to achieve with you guys in that hour, that, I'll admit, like many times I'll brush over something and we'll be doing it and I'll think, I didn't even give the guys a context on why we're doing this activity today. So, we need to make more of an effort to bring that stuff up, and if you could remind us, that would be really cool, because like, we're thinking about you and the other 15 people and getting everyone out of here because I can get to work at 10:30 and all those things. Which is a little bit of a restrictive part of the 1 hour classes. In reality, like my training sessions never, an hour's not usually enough. And I think for a lot of you guys feel as you get to a level, it's like you could probably train a little bit longer. But we kind of tend to block exercise in 1 hour sections and that kind of thing. And some people even do it in 30 or 45-minute sessions. And it's like, really for us to go into depth about a lot of what we do, we would probably rather have 90 minutes to 2 hours. But it's not realistic for most people. So we kind of cram it in so it's super action-packed for the 60 minutes. Yeah? Archie?
we get more of us. Pretty much. And like, look, it's hard to find like the right person to coach in a gym like this, you know? I mean, we're really lucky that we have Alan and he has the base that he's got, and it's not like we can go to the PT school and say, right, okay, have you guys got any interns come over and start working with us, because you need to have a general view of a whole bunch of different disciplines here, and then you need to be able to actually do them so people can parrot, you know, and watch the way you move and the rest of it. And if you don't have that, then it's very difficult, especially for us now, to train someone from scratch, you know, and then kind of reprogram the way they think as well. So at the moment, I think there's a bit of a transition happening in the fitness industry. I like to think that we're at the forefront of that transition, and we're starting to attract this next wave, this next generation of movers. And I think as we move into a bigger facility, then we'll be able to accommodate some form of internship where we can start training up our own coaches. You know.
And you know, in addition to that, we don't our business will continue to grow, and we have plans to continue evolving. But it doesn't mean that it continues to get that we continue to get more members. So we have a goal to reach, which is a little bit higher than where it's at now. But that's not, we don't actually want to go much further beyond that, because then it does become a place where it's not really a community anymore. You know, it's a, I don't know what you call it, but you know, a place where everyone's kind of a bit anonymous, more like a city. We don't really want that. So we're thinking of growth in other areas so that we can maintain that. Because for us, that's largely where we get our energy from, is having you guys and having that body of people and having that kind of interaction, you know? Yeah.
How important to your philosophy is that sense of community?
Top.
Yeah, I think it's probably the number one thing, huh?
We came to we actually, I mean, we talk about where we're going all the time. It's a real common topic for us in the lab. And originally we were like, okay, we need more members for us to be able to live, you know, and feed our families and save some money. And we started doing numbers, and the numbers were big as far as membership goes, and it was like, okay, that's where we need to go. And then we had to think about it, and it's like, okay, so we create this monster with however many members that we had in mind, and all of a sudden you have to take in whoever comes to the front door, and you start to lose the community feel, because you're just accepting whoever and whatever, and then you start getting factions and all this kind of stuff happens, and you end up with a fitness first, you know? And you spend the whole time in the office replying to emails and on the phone. And it was like, okay, we kind of envisioned ourselves in that environment. We're like, we don't want to work in that kind of environment. So we capped it, and we want to keep it smaller, more streamlined, and tighter in the community, and then make our living in other areas of the business as well, rather than just membership.
It's funny, when we initially spoke about what our training would look like, what the classes would be and that kind of thing. In the very beginning, we said that we wanted to work with people who wanted to do the kind of training we were into. So we're like, let's do what we're passionate about, and the people that like that will be attracted to us, and they're going to be the people that we want to invest our time in. Yeah, we're pretty stoked that that's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly the group of people we now have.
There was many times there where we were going to change it.
Yeah, that's
we had
right.
to stick it out for a couple of years where it was like,
Yeah, because
it's not working. It was going here, and we're like, we just have to appeal to the masses
Yeah.
and give them what they want. And that's the sweating stuff, potentially.
It was a permaculture approach. It was to build
Good stuff.
a garden that had the right flora, that attracts the right fauna, and that was where we kind of like, all right, so
Yeah.
and it worked. But we almost got it. Well, I mean, moving into botany, we got an instant community because the community was already there, and we just gave them a place to hang out and work.
Yeah.
Which has been interesting, because every time someone new comes into the gym, you go to introduce them to someone, they're like, oh, here's my neighbour. I went to school with him. Yeah, we've known each other for years, which is unreal. So yeah, it's been great.
I know.
I'll ask you about your individual training methods. Are you going to come to that later, or can we just ask now?
Go for it, man.
This is one question I think I started to ask you. We touch upon it later. So one thing that I do more of is lift, and all of you guys take a lift class and teach it differently. So there's a lot of the same but different. I want to know, like you talked about group philosophy, but now I want to know individually, what do you guys think differently in terms of how lifting is done? Because you all teach it slightly differently. I want to know exactly what you think of. I know that, Joey, you talk a lot about having your feet in the right position, and you emphasise that a lot, and teach a lot about form in one position. What are the differences you guys do when it comes to that? I guess that will then translate to the other classes you teach.
It's a good question. It's I don't think it's so much that we have different philosophies or different focuses there, but I think that, I think that that's just a difference that you get between individual coaches, which is that you can't fix everything all at once, and so as a coach you will tend to look for the biggest problem that you can fix at that moment, and you'll focus on that. So what I identify as might be, fix your feet and your grip up,
Okay.
Whereas for Tiora it might be like, dude, he might be focusing more on your spine or more on the head position, and it's not, it really just comes down to the moment and to what the coach identifies in you, because I would say that our philosophy and our, in lifting is the same largely.
Yeah, we try to standardise the way we coach with each other, and obviously with Al and with Paul. So you guys get the same cueing that come out time and time again. But again, everyone has that perceives their environment differently. So it also comes down to where you originally got coached, and the people that coach Joe how to lift are not the same people that coach me how to lift. Yet we still came together and shared the knowledge that we have as well. Plus he's a different body type, so the stuff that's worked for him in the past is different to the stuff that works for me. So I think the best way to get the most out of it is to take knowledge from both of us, and those slight differences, take the ones that work for you, and the stuff that doesn't, disregard it. And I think that's a really important thing to do in any environment. You gotta be able to decipher what information that comes to you is the best for you, because at the end of the day, you're the person who knows what's working for you best, and siphon through the stuff that works best for you and the stuff that doesn't.
I guess my follow-up question is, I guess it's easier when it comes to Fight Factory because you've got a BJJ background and you have the Muay Thai, and Alan does a lot of the Brazilian stuff, and that comes out in the exercises and warm-ups you guys do. There's a lot of grappling that Joey does that T doesn't do. So I guess that's what I'm really after is what
Play to my strengths.
Well, this is so what do you think is what's the difference between you guys? I know there's a lot of similarities, but
Like in our training experience?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Okay, well I could try and sum it up, and T might add to it. My background is largely Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, almost 10 years of that. Was quite competitive for a while. Always been, before that was ball sports, so soccer, that was my thing. That's had a huge, influence on how I've developed physically. But also I never really put on muscle particularly very easy. I tried to do it for a couple of years when I was 18, struggled with it. Flexibility for me has never been a huge battle, something I've always been pretty mobile as well. So, strength, mobility, my strength is perhaps, my mobility. That's been my experience. I know for T, he's had a different experience,
Yeah, I think sometimes when you're not very good at something, you spend more time learning about it,